Tottenham Hotspur then made it 3 wins out of 4 under Thomas Frank with a comfortable 3-0 victory over West Ham. Yanis Mihalik with me to reflect on what was in the end a very comfortable win for Tottenham Hotspur. First half was a proper contest. Romero scored, that got disallowed. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Interesting comments from James Maddison. But really it was the start of the second half that defined the whole game. Sarr would score early on. Souček then got a red card. I don't think anyone could argue against that. And then, of course, we saw Bergvall and then Van der Ven adding to Spurs' tally, and that game was over. It was an empty stadium that greeted the full-time whistle for West Ham. We'll talk about their problems and where on earth Graham Potter goes there later on. But let's start off with Spurs, Yanis, shall we? As I say, first half, pretty comfortable, good contest. But second half, they really showed what they could be doing this season.
Yeah, I think, remember the last 15 minutes of the first half, it was one-way traffic, wasn't it? A number of set pieces, which we'll talk about a little bit later on when we talk about Thomas Frank. So I think that they set that up pretty nicely. And of course, scoring, a minute, 2 minutes into the second half was key. And then after the red card was obviously you knew that West Ham, there's no way back to that for them. So look, a great start to the season if you take away that tragic game at home against Bournemouth, right? But you look at Spurs level on points with Arsenal and just a goal away from Arsenal, to be quite honest. So, great start to Thomas Frank, which I think was a great appointment for Spurs.
Apart from winning, what's the biggest difference we've seen from Frank Spurs to Postecoglou's?
Well, look, with Spurs, for some reason, there's always these expectations, right? And when I say for some reason, it's a big club. We talk about the big stadium and what they could do, inability to win titles, which they've taken care of last year. But I think that the big difference is that we're seeing Spurs, the Thomas Frank of Brentford, and that's first and foremost, right? The solidity defensively, the organization. I think going forward under Ange, and even now as we see it, they're going to be okay. When you look at the names, Xavi Simons, Richarlison, Kolo Muani, Brennan Johnson, Kulusevski, who's not here, Kudus, they have enough going forward. Their issues were defensive. And, I don't want to default then just to that, high line and all that. Just in general, they conceded 65 goals last year. They scored 65. So what a difference already. You look at Thomas Frank, who's organized. You look at set pieces. He's always been strong on it. Today they had 11, scored for a couple, really. That's the difference. First and foremost, I'm looking for Spurs to be good defensively because the rest, I don't want to say will take care of itself, but there is enough there going forward, isn't there?
Of course, we saw Xavi Simons given his first start for Spurs. How would you rate his performance?
Okay, different role. I was just watching him when Poland played against Holland. It's the same issue they have there. They play him in a wide position. He played out at Leipzig. He's okay. Louis van Gaal was the only one that in Qatar kind of played him central because he figured out that he needs to be around the ball. Defensively, he'll help you, but that's not really his thing. And okay, it's just the beginning, but I think he needs to be more involved centrally because if there's one issue I have with Spurs right now, defensively sound, enough going forward, as I said, that creativity in the middle of the pitch, don't see it yet.
Did you sack Graham Potter, Yanis?
Oh, yeah. I can't believe that he survived, really. I had a bad take on him. I guess Brighton is a different ball watch. We see that everybody, different pressures, everybody comes in there. He was right then, but, after Chelsea and watching this, I think this is just a matter of time.
Yeah, what's interesting is the fact that you thought, well, after that brilliant result we saw against Forest, we thought, okay, that could be the catalyst to keep them going. But there was just nothing today. First half, as I say, they're competitive, but as a home side with West Ham's prestige, you don't want to be patronised saying, well, at least you're in it for 45 minutes.
Yeah, brilliant against Forest, but now we know what happened at Forest, right? Why the change of managers, and we saw Forest today against Arsenal, and they had absolutely nothing, zero, right? With Ange, who supposedly is I'm not putting this on him; it's just his first game, but yeah, I thought that maybe that Forest game would have been a catalyst, but when you look deeper, aside from a couple of players, there really isn't quality in the squad, so this is going to be very, very difficult for them. And I don't see how Graham Potter survives.
How long till Nuno takes over?
There you go. The carousel begins.
Let's talk about refereeing decisions, which of course have dominated some of these conversations in the opening few weeks of the Premier League. Romero scoring what looked like a perfectly good goal. The referee within the play called it off, wasn't sent to the monitor to review his decision. And the more and more you see this, James Maddison, in fact, getting involved as well. This is what he tweeted. Honestly, the referees and VAR have had an absolute shocker of a start to the season. If that goal is disallowed for a foul, you'll never ever see a corner be taken without referees blowing for something ever again. It just looked like a bit of a dominoes effect, which started with the West Ham goalkeeper, Janusz.
Yeah, it did. I mean, look, the bottom line is the football knowledge of people running VAR is nil in England in the Premier League. It really is. I mean, there's absolutely zero feel for the game, and that's unacceptable. I mean, Howard Webb apologizing for the upteen time and suspending people tomorrow, right? I mean, I can't explain it. As we've seen, there are 11 corners, I think, that they have. You know, obviously there's going to be traffic. I mean, if there's one time and one place to actually send the referee back to the monitor, this is it, because so much chaos and traffic. I mean, there's so much happening over there. You know, goalkeeper and Fernandez pushing Van de Ven into Walker Peters and all of that, and the hold on Van de Ven, both arms. You know, there's that one look before all this developed when Van de Ven was still past the post making his run. There was a little bit of a push, which I bet you VAR didn't recognize at the time as the foul. If there's something that we're going to see tomorrow, because they're going to try to protect each other in some way, that may be it. Although, you know, I've seen it very, very quickly. I think this is just criminal. It happens over and over and over again. And it's the referee needs help in situations like this. Let him go look at it. I promise you he would have looked at it and let it go.
Two-chat red card, though, spot on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Suchek knew it, right? I mean, it's one of those that, you know, goes for that tackle, you know, starts showing. Yeah, it doesn't really matter how much contact, you know, when you're talking about putting somebody in danger. Yeah, you put that next to, you know, to that sort of a call. So no problems there.
Meanwhile, of course, Spurs have got Villarreal in the Champions League coming up midweek as we focus on what's going to happen in Europe. You'd fancy Spurs to do all right, not only in that tie, but certainly to get through to the knockout stages, wouldn't you?
I do, because it's a different team. It's a better team in terms of depth. I've already mentioned that they have a much, much better manager when it comes to this. Look, they won the Europa League against Manchester United. In the Super Cup, they were leading against PSG to lose in penalties, right? I mean, it was 85th minute and stoppage time equalizer from Gonzalo Ramos. So they ran him close. This edition is just as forgiving as the, you know, Champions League from before. I mean, just look at PSG finishing 15th, right? And I'm looking here, look, Villarreal at home, Bodo Glimt away, that's that plastic pitch. Monaco, that's a nice trip, but they can get some points there. Copenhagen at home, so that's much better, because away, Tom, you know, it's not easy. PSG away, so that's a tough one. Slavia Prague, Dortmund, and Frankfurt. I think they can get, what is it, top 24? They should be able, they're talented
They could
enough.
get top 8, Janusz, from that. You look at those teams and you think that they're going to be favourites going into most of those ties.
It's still Spurs. So let's not get too crazy. Let's not get too crazy, right? I mean, they're second in the Premier League right now. You know, those expectations are going to go higher right now. Juggling all of this, they're still in the League Cup, right? West Ham aren't, obviously. So let's take it easy. But I mean, it's not impossible. It's not impossible that they could make top 8.
Where did you have Spurs finishing at the start of the season?
I think, you know, I didn't have him anywhere near top 4.
Right.
I think, you know, I don't remember, but I would have said 8th, 9th, somewhere in there.
Would you change your mind now?
No, not yet. I need to
see more. Stubborn.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it's just 4 matches. I see the quality of Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea. So that's your top 4 right now.
Right.
Can they make it to the, you know, 6th spot?
Well, who are you competing against? I suppose that's the conversation. Aston Villa have had a shocker. They can't score a goal for toffee. Manchester United have got their issues. When you're talking about the big boys within that conversation, Newcastle, of course, got going today at last. So they'll definitely be there or thereabouts when it comes to a top 6. But I think Spurs are definitely better than the 8th best team in the Premier League from what we've seen in these opening 4 games.
I think so. I mean, you can, Nick Voltemade scored the goal, so that's important for them for as much money
Yes.
as
Yeah,
Newcastle
of
has
course.
spent, right? I mean, first game. Uh, yeah, I think as high as I would say. Okay, I'll give in. Fifth or sixth could be, but
Wow.
if we're
Try to be a
thinking,
lawyer.
if we're talking about top four making it, we know
Yeah.
5 teams made it this year. I don't think so. I think it's too early.
Have Spurs got the depth within the squad? You mentioned obviously the players that weren't featuring today, some big names that they've brought in. Have they got the squad to play two big games, three big games a week, obviously with Champions League?
They do. I mean, still good defensively. Somebody like Ben Davies, he's going to give you 4 or 5 good matches, and he can give it to you as a left back, as a left center back. He can play all over the place. You have Udogi, right? Remember, we were oohing and ahhing about the Italian international not that long ago. Spence came in, and he's number one choice. But the qualities are there for them. That one question mark is the center of the pitch, isn't it? More so in terms of quality and maybe player profile then. Bergvall, youngster, great goal today, wasn't it? I mean, that header
Yeah.
wasn't all that easy. James Madison, that's going to take some time, right? But I think, Bentancur and Palinha, much of muchness, I want to say. So is there that creative player that can get the guys in the front going? Because there's so many, right? They're 2, 3 deep in every position going forward. But in the center of the pitch, I have some question marks there.
Yanis, as always, thank you very much. Just a reminder, there's one later game today, isn't there? Chelsea, who are Chelsea playing? I forgot.
I did as well because I'm not
Good.
working it. So I don't
No,
care.
it's
No, I
perfect. Great research by both. Chelsea are definitely playing a Premier League game, and it's very big and important. And we'll be focusing all of our attention on that. Is it something with B? Brentford away. I'm going to go for Brentford
there you
away.
go.
I know Cucurella's on the bench because he's on my Premier League side, in my fantasy side. That's how I put that all together. Yanis, thank you very much. Just a reminder as well, Atletico Madrid in action at 3 o'clock on ESPN Plus. They're taking on at Villarreal, and of course ESPN FC live with you after that game to reflect on all the big talking points, including a good win for Real Madrid again. Kylian Mbappe really found his feet, hasn't he, at the start this season. But for now, Yanis, thank you very much. Enjoy Chelsea playing whoever they're playing.